Sorry, I know that we're running a little late, but I have a couple of announcements. First of all, you are in the Good Governance panel, and welcome to you all. There are translation devices in the back, translating from Russian to Italian, from Spanish to English, or vice versa. So if you need any help on those, there's a gentleman in the back that can help you. As far as, am I going too quickly? Okay. As far as those of you that are here, you have cards in front of you. Those note cards, they are going to be for the open forum. And what you are to do with those note cards, a topic that you would like to talk about with the panel members in the open forum, which follows this panel, go ahead and write it down, move in, and figure out, try and get rid of overlapping things in that regard. This whole procurement conference is about follow-up. What is done here today is that we want to keep it going, and so we will be having a call for papers. I know that you heard about it earlier. I want to go ahead and reiterate that. And then as far as time constraints, we're even more constrained on time. We have 6 panelists, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and give you the names and the titles, and you can go ahead and read their biographies in your conference packets. I'd like to begin with, very quickly, defining what good governance or governance is. According to a policy brief from the Institute on Governance, it was one of the best definitions I've found, whether in the literature or on the web. And governance is a process whereby societies or organizations make their important decisions, determine whom they involve in the process, and how they render account. And with that, I'd like you to keep that in mind, especially when you're thinking about the concerns and topics that we're going to address with the panelists. And without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce the first panelist. His name is Edilberto Ruiz Miro. He is General Director of the Public Contracting Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs in Panama. And Mr. Miro.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. First, let me congratulate the organizers of this conference for a job well done. Second, let me personally thank Mr. Clifford McHugh, who's been...
Thank you very much, Dr. Pryor. When Professor McHugh asked me, I'm not a procurement specialist, so the first thing that occurred to me to find out what the procurement does. So I went to the experts, and one of the most famous experts is the Dilbert. So he asks you, your self-esteem might improve if you got a job, and as the employee says, as what? There are openings in our procurement department, you would be perfect. And he asks, what does procurement do? And the answer is, their job is to prevent us from getting the computers we want. And the employee says, can I hit people with my tape? So this is a kind of misperceptions non-procurement specialists have about procurement. And so my talk is about linking procurement with governance. And Dr. Pryor already defined good governance. And another version of defining good governance is an exercise of authority and control to preserve and protect public interest and enhance quality of life enjoyed by its citizens. And however, the question is how this good governance can be achieved. I think fundamental thing in this regard is the political commitment, the commitment by leaders in this regard, because no matter what technocratic solutions we might have, ultimately it's the culture of the organization and the behaviors that are determined by those processes. So it's important to have the political leadership and commitment in this regard. And if one looks at the ancient Greek civilization, there the ancient city of Athens was asked to require to undertake this oath by the council members, which stated that we will strive increasingly to quicken public sense of public duty, and thus we will transmit the city not less but greater, better and more beautiful than was transmitted to us. So the emphasis was on making a commitment to make it better for future generations. And I think we know former President Clinton made similar statement. He said, we have a moral obligations to make government work right, to use the hard-earned money of American people, not only in ways that further the public interest. If we cannot do that, we cannot justify taking the money away from people. So the question is, what is the link between governance, good governance and corruption? Good governance, especially citizen-centric governance, is where the citizen is the master or the governor. And various orders of governments are created to serve the public interest. And they act in the interest of the citizens. And so there is there needs to be a clear production process, results-based change that is evaluated by citizens, and that results-based change you cannot evaluate. The procurement plays an important role in that. So, and procurement is, I think, it's quite a consensus that procurement plays a critical role in terms of the various aspects of governance, whether it's responsive governance or the making sure that the government does deliver services consistent with people's preferences, or fair governance, or responsible governance, that the government does it right and is accountable to people. Especially on responsible governance, the procurement is the fundamental dimension in all aspects of open, transparent governance and earning trust and managing risks and results, focus on results. And however, it's ensuring the integrity of public procurement is a very challenging task, as this quotation from Kautilya, who was in the 4th century BCE advisor to the Indian king, said, justice not possible not to taste honey placed on the surface of the tongue. Even so, it's not possible for one dealing with the money of the king not to taste the money in however a small quantity. And he goes on to say that it's even difficult to detect corruption in public processes, especially public procurement, because it says, just as fish moving underwater cannot possibly be found out either as drinking or not drinking water, so government servants employed in the government work cannot be found out while taking money for themselves. This is the kind of, this is kind of environment in which the World Bank operates in, where in large part of the world the culture of corruption is pervasive. So we are not taking things as if we get the technocratic processes right, we will be able to accomplish the integrity of government. So it's much more trying to create incentives and environment that will curtail corruption. And so in that context,